Hi, we're out on the range today, so please bear with gunfire here in the background. And today I have a Ruger LCP2 in caliber 22 long rifle. Some people contacted me and asked me to review it, and I was able to purchase this one because of donations to the Patreon account. Thank you, everybody. So here we are. Now, the LCP2 in caliber 22 long rifle is very similar to the LCP2 in caliber 380 ACP. One major difference is the addition of a manual safety. Also, this has a magazine safety. It will not fire when the magazine is removed. Now, when you compare the LCP2 22 to an LCP2, or in my case, just an LCP in caliber 380 ACP, the weight is virtually identical, the dimensions are virtually identical. And it brings up the question, when you can have a 380 ACP, why would you get a 22 long rifle? There may be many reasons, but I'm going to cover what I would consider to be the top four. First, 380 ACP is not a particularly powerful handgun round, but when put in a very small light pistol, the recoil can become prohibitive for some people. The 22 should be more manageable. Secondly, we have a capacity of 10+1 instead of 6+1, and that can be important to some people. Third, 22 long rifle ammunition is significantly less expensive than 380 ACP. And four, right now at my local stores, I can still find some 22 long rifle ammo. 380 ACP has become almost impossible to find. So there are what would appear some good reasons that someone might go with an LCP2 in 22 long rifle. But how will this pistol perform in terms of reliability, accuracy, and effectiveness? Let's shoot it and see what we can learn. First, let's discuss accuracy. I've got 4 targets and I'll shoot these from 10 yards with 4 different types of 22 long rifle ammunition. Let's see what kind of results we get. Well, our 4 types of ammunition were Remington Thunderbolt 40 grain round nose lead, Remington Bucket of Bullets 36 grain brass wash hollow point, Federal American Eagle 38 grain copper plated hollow point, and CCI Minimag 36 grain copper wash hollow point. Now this target shows us 2 things. One, I fired 4 different types of ammunition, and of course off camera I fired some as well. And it shows us that in terms of function, this pistol does not seem to be ammunition picky. That's a good thing. But the second thing it shows us is that when we change ammunition, we can change our point of impact. That's very important considering that this pistol does not have adjustable sights. Now, when you look at the differences in point of impact, that doesn't seem to be off by very much. And when you take the one that's farthest off, probably our CCI Mini Mag, which is about 3 inches off, you think 3 inches off at a distance of 10 yards, how much difference could that really make? Let me see if I can illustrate the importance of this. Now I've got a new target set up and I'm going to shoot this from 10 yards with the LCP380 and the LCP2 22, which is loaded with the CCI Mini Mags, the ammo that was off by about 3 inches. Previously, when shooting with the LCP2, I was trying to shoot slow and see how good of a group I could get. Now I'm going to shoot as fast as I think I can hit the target, and we'll see how much difference is made by being 3 inches off. Here's our 380 ACP impacts, and here's our 22 long rifle impacts, which I've covered with the black pasties so they're easier to see. And what we see is that when your sights are on, they're on. These are effective hits. When your sights are off just by a little bit, it can really make a difference, especially with a pocket pistol and caliber 22 long rifle, because in my opinion, with a 22 long rifle, you have to aim for the correct part of the target. Now, the LCP2 has a 10-shot magazine. I only fired 9 rounds because I had a malfunction. Of those 9, only 5 hit the target, and these 2 highest hits are of debatable effectiveness. So we can see how important it is to have your 22 long rifle pocket pistol zeroed. I mentioned having a malfunction with the LCP2. It was a failure to fire. I cleared it and I was just looking and I found that round on the ground. It's a CCI Mini Mag and it has what looks like a good strike in the rim. So was that round effective, or did we just not get a sufficient strike on the rim of that round? I don't know. But it brings up the point of the reliability of rimfire ammunition. Now, I have a very long, tedious presentation on the reliability of 22 long rifle ammunition, and you can watch that if you want, but the short version is that if you get good quality 22 long rifle ammunition, like CCI Mini Mags, they can be very reliable, but they are still not going to be as reliable as your typical centerfire ammunition. And although I've discussed some of the advantages of having a pistol like the LCP2 and caliber 22 long rifle, that reliability issue is why some people will choose an LCP2 or just an LCP in 380 ACP. And it also makes the case for why other small handguns in small centerfire calibers like 25 ACP or 32 ACP might be a better choice than 22 long rifle. Now, there's another concern about using 22 long rifle ammunition in a firearm with a very short barrel. Let me see if I can illustrate that. To test our 22 long rifle hollow point effectiveness out of the Ruger LCP2, we're going to use the meat target. Now, for those who haven't seen it before, the meat target is leather couch skin, pork steak pectoral, pork ribs, a bag of oranges to simulate lung tissue, more pork ribs on the back, 4 layers of t-shirt on the front, 4 layers on the back, and the whole thing followed by the new and improved high-tech fleece bullet stop. And it's supposed to be an analog for the thoracic cavity of the intended target. I know just a moment ago I said with a 22 long rifle you have to shoot at the right portion of the target. Well, I don't have an analog for that part of the target that's fit to be shot on camera, so we're going to use the analog of the thoracic cavity. But before we shoot it with the 22, as a basis of comparison, I'm going to shoot it with my baby Browning, which is loaded with Hornady Critical Defense 25 ACP 35 grain jacketed hollow point. Now, if you've ever looked at a ballistics chart, you've seen that 22 long rifle is a lot more powerful than 25 ACP. But if you look at the fine print of those ballistics charts, the test gun for the 25 was a pocket gun with a very short barrel. The test gun for the 22 was a handgun with a much longer barrel, or sometimes even a rifle barrel. On previous occasions when we've done a comparison between 22 and 25 and made that comparison what I would consider more fair, as in both guns were pocket guns with short barrels, and I was using ammunition that had comparable projectile weights. For example, this Hornady ammunition in 25 ACP has a 35 grain hollow point. The CCI Mini Mags we're going to use today have a 36 grain hollow point. When you make a fair comparison, we found that you get very similar velocities between 25 and 22. So I'll shoot the meat target from 7 yards with the 25, then we'll repeat that with the 22 and see how our results compare. Well, our 25 just put 25 caliber holes through the ribs on the front of the target. Where a bullet hit a rib, broke it. Our orange lung tissue has moderate damage to it. Some of the projectiles were stopped by the ribs on the back of the target. A couple of them went through and they were stopped by the t-shirt on the back of the target. So, considering the gun and ammunition we're using, we're seeing about the damage we'd expect to see. Let's put together a new meat target and try something else. Now I have a new meat target set up and I have my Ruger LCP2 loaded with CCI Minimag 36 grain hollow point and CCI Stinger 32 grain hollow point. So let's shoot this from 7 yards and see what kind of results we get. We've got the meat target taken apart, and the ribs on the front of the target have 22 caliber holes in them, and where projectiles hit the ribs, broke them. We have damage to our orange lung tissue, just 22 caliber holes through it. And like the 25, all of the 22 projectiles were stopped by the ribs on the back of the target or by the t-shirt on the back of the target. However, looking at this meat target, it does appear that the 22 did a little bit more damage than the 25. Why is that? Let's take a close-up look at the projectiles. Here's our Hornady Custom 25 ACP hollow point projectiles, and you can see there's a little bit of expansion, but for the most part the expansion is minimal down to almost non-existent. But here's our 22 long rifle hollow points. Now these are our CCI mini mags where the expansion is minimal to non-existent, but our CCI Stingers seem to have pretty good expansion. Why? So why are we getting expansion out of some hollow points and not others? Okay, I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. Hollow point projectiles are velocity based. The faster you propel them, the more expansion you'll get up to a point. If you propel a hollow point projectile too slowly, it will drop below expansion threshold and you'll get very little to no expansion. A caliber like 25 ACP is already a fairly low velocity round. Even when you're using what should be some high-performance ammunition like the Hornady Custom 35 grain jacketed hollow point, it's still fairly low velocity. And depending on what target you're shooting, the distance at which you're shooting it, and the length of barrel on your particular firearm, you might still be below expansion threshold. Now, on a previous occasion, we did a presentation entitled 22 Hollow Point Expansion Part 2, in which I fired a Beretta Model 21A with a 2 1/4 inch barrel at 1 gallon water jugs. 1 gallon water jugs are an almost perfect medium for hollow point expansion. And what I found was that using CCI Minimags and CCI Stingers, my hollow point expansion was just about non-existent. Now today, using the LCP2, shooting at our meat target, we saw consistent results as far as the Minimags go. The hollow point expansion was almost non-existent. But we saw really good expansion out of the CCI Stingers. Why? Well, the conclusion that I'm going to draw from our very rudimentary test is that the Beretta 21A I was using before had a 2 1/4 inch barrel. The LCP2 has a 2 3/4 inch barrel. And that extra half-inch barrel appears to be giving us just enough more velocity to get us above expansion threshold. A half-inch more can be a lot more depending on what you're measuring. But there is one more type of 22 ammo that I want to test. Now I have a new meat target set up and I have my LCP2 loaded with Remington Yellow Jacket ammunition. That's 22 long rifle with a 33 grain truncated cone hollow point. Let me show you a close-up of what these look like. On your left is a CCI Minimag 36 grain hollow point, and on your right is the Remington Yellow Jacket 33 grain truncated cone hollow point. You can see that the projectile has sharp shoulders and it looks a lot like a semi-wad cutter. You can also see that the cavity is fairly large by the standards of 22 hollow points. So I'll shoot the meat target with the Yellow Jacket ammunition from a distance of 7 yards, and let's see what kind of results we get with this. Well, we've got our meat target taken apart, and it would appear that the Yellow Jackets did a little more damage to our pork steak pectoral than the other rounds did. We also have what appears to be a little more damage to our orange lung tissue, and like all of the other rounds, the Yellow Jackets were all stopped by the ribs on the back of the target or by the t-shirt on the back of the target. However, in looking at the rounds, the expansion was not that impressive. Let's take a close-up look. And we see that a couple of our projectiles have very good expansion, and the rest mediocre to very little. Another concern about the Yellow Jacket ammunition is how their projectile shape will affect the reliability of autoloaders. I've had some autoloaders that worked fine with other types of ammunition but would not cycle the Yellow Jackets reliably. So I've got a target set up at 10 yards. Let's test the Yellow Jackets for accuracy and reliability in our LCP2. And for instructional purposes only, so far so good. Let's reload our magazine. Most auto-loading pistols in caliber 22 long rifle have a magazine that has a button on the side that you push down and it makes it easier to load the magazine. The LCP2 does not have such a feature, and it can be difficult to get those rounds in the magazine. So Ruger has included this magazine loader that pushes down on the back of the top round, making it easier to get the next round in. Then the loader comes up, round goes back, push that down, insert a new round, loader comes up, round goes back, push that down, insert a new round, loader comes up, round goes back, push that down, and continue that process until the magazine's loaded. So let's try 10 more shots at our 10-yard target. Failure to fire. And that does have a strike on the rim, but it looks fairly light. Another failure to fire. And that does have a strike on the rim, but that looks fairly light. So is it that our Yellow Jackets aren't performing very well in this handgun? Or maybe there's some problem with the handgun. Well, before we explore that, let's take a look at the target. So it would appear out of our LCP2, the Yellow Jackets are giving us marginal reliability and marginal accuracy. Let's shoot 10 more rounds, and this time they'll be stingers. And for instructional purposes only. So it would appear that the problem was the ammunition, not the pistol. Off camera, I fired a few more magazines. I did not have any malfunctions, so it would appear the problem was the ammunition, not the gun. Now there's a few things to add. The LCP2 in caliber 22 long rifle has a manual safety. I've worked with a lot of pistols with a lot of manual safeties. I find this one to be awkward. It's awkward to disengage and even more so to re-engage. Now this pistol has the Glock type of safety lever on the trigger and a very long trigger pull, so there are people who would say that the manual safety isn't even necessary. I also found in shooting the 22 that it had significantly less recoil than my LCP in caliber 380 ACP. And I know that for some shooters, less recoil is going to mean more accuracy. There's also people who are of the opinion that round count or magazine capacity trumps ballistic power, so for some people having a capacity of 10+1 is going to be an advantage over 6+1. Not only that, in addition to coming with this neat little magazine loader, the LCP2 in caliber 22 long rifle comes with this inside the pocket holster thing. I don't like it at all, but I'm sure for some people it would be useful. So the bottom line here is that although the LCP2 in caliber 22 long rifle can have some advantages for some people over an LCP 380 or an LCP2 in 380 ACP, the real question is it the right gun for me? And the answer is no. Is it the right gun for you? You be the judge. So as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional, and thanks for watching the Ruger LCP2 caliber 22 long rifle video.